So not much intro, obviously. It's a case. It's ITX. It's pretty badass. Let's go ahead and take a look at the features.
Okay, so taking a look here across the top, we have headphones, microphone, reset. Not too bad to press. Power button, blue. Would nice to see that be maybe white, but blue's better than red. Two USB 3.0s, of course, ITX case. And the ModuVent, which we'll pop off and talk about in a little bit here. On the rest of the front, you have underneath a full filter that runs all the way from the PSU on down to the front optional fans. If you don't put a pump there, we'll talk about that in a second. Let's go ahead and get the front off, which you really have to take that out to pop this front panel. Just because you need a place to grab onto it to pull it off. We have the same dense foam as all the awesome Fractal cases. And of course the side venting that we've all become accustomed to at this point. An awesome magnetic full filter, just like the big brother to this case, the Define S. Now, it would be nice to be able to remove this without pulling the front panel, but you know, there's only so much room in this case. If you're gonna, you know, have something to pull from below here, then, you know, this really has to, unfortunately, be the one that takes the bullet for having to, you know, be behind something. Now, if you want to run, you know, push-pull fans, of course, you can fit a fan under the front cover, but you're going to sacrifice your dust filter, and in which case I would rather have a single fan and a radiator and the filter. That's just me. Maybe I have a dusty house, I don't know. The side panel has the typical Fractal acrylic. I really wish they'd move away from this to something less scratchy, but it's serviceable. I might replace this with something a little more anti-glare, which is a problem that all the cases have, honestly. It would just be, this does scratch very easily, which is why the plastic's still on here. Self-capturing thumb screws all the way around in this case. Super awesome. Super awesome. Everybody should do that. So on the inside, it comes with one Dynamic Series DP14, so that's a 14-inch fan there, and one Dynamic Series DP12 in the back. That's a 120 millimeter fan back there. In the middles, we have lots of room for reservoir mounting. This is just like the Define S, guys. I mean, it's just a baby Define S, really. You have your pump mounting bracket at the bottom that can also be used, I believe, for a 3.5-inch hard drive if you want to. There's lots of stuff you can do with this guy. The grommets are all nice and, you know, firm, I guess. They're totally serviceable. All black cables with your USB 3 there, and of course all your normal I/O. And of course, you know, I like to point this out just because I do pick on it for other cases, so I have to say something when people do it right. All black cables everywhere. You know, maybe a little bit of blue, but you're gonna shove that into a blue connector anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But all, you know, perfect cables right up to the ends. No color showing anywhere. So if I'm gonna harp on it when other people do it badly, I'm gonna, you know, say good things when people do it correctly. You have, nice to see here, there are two grommets up at the top. I really like that. A lot of times now, you know, there's just the one back 8-pin grommet, and it kind of hamstrings you on being able to route cables through. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back quickly. Of course, more of that awesome foam. And your I/O cutout, power supply, 2 PCIe. So a lot of nice things here, guys, for a $70 case. Velcro straps. I mean, there's even an extra one here that's just hanging out, not doing anything yet. Of course, you're gonna want that later. A couple here. You know, nice little cutout here for passing through like your audio cable or whatever. The two brackets on the back here. So this can hold two 2.5-inch drives. This can hold a 3.5 or a 2.5. The one thing I really wish this case could do, which it's not really any fault of Fractal's, because honestly, there's just not really room, but it would have been nice to see 2 3.5-inch drives, and that's just because I'm being greedy and kind of wanted to run a RAID array on this machine. But I will suffice with one 3 terabyte hard drive, I suppose. Other than that, the biggest thing here, honestly, that I'm concerned about is the size of the power supply and if it's gonna go over the grommet. So we're gonna find out about that. I'm gonna go grab my Phanteks case. We'll put it up against this, see the size difference, and then do a little part swap. So of course, guys, the last thing here is the ModuVent, and it has lighter sound dampening foam, but also lots of big area here. If you go for the 280 on top, you do have to worry about clearance issues with your motherboard, with RAM, with lots of things. This is really meant to take a 240 Radiator and give you lots of room to do stuff. Okay, so for size comparisons, my current ITX build is in the left case, the Phanteks case. I'm going to be moving it into the Define case. There's a couple of reasons for that, and at the end of the build I will explain them. The difference here mainly is the Phanteks case has these vents along the top, so that if you put a radiator inside, it vents out these side vents and out the back here. Whereas, you know, this has the ModuVent, you're going to be venting directly out. So I feel like the Phanteks case in that scenario would be a little quieter. However, the Phanteks case cannot take the AIO in the front position, which I'm pretty sure, and we're going to find out, that the Fractal case can. So let's go ahead and do some building, and we'll see how she goes.
Okay guys, so last thing with this video is I wanted to test and see two things. One was, and ignore the pump right here for now, but one was, could I fit a Corsair H110i GT, which is for a 280, it's pretty big for an AIO because it has end tanks on both ends. And if you're willing to get creative and sacrifice your ModuVent, you can do it. Now, what lets you do it, honestly, is the fact that thank you, Fractal, for using screws instead of rivets. So it let me pop off the front I/O, move it out of the way, be able to position the fans and everything where I needed them so that the AIO would fit. And I will dare you to find another case, ITX case, that you can fit that 240 or 280 rad in the front of the case. I dare you, because the hell if I can find it. You would think that the Phanteks would fit, but it doesn't because of how the case is designed. This honestly is absolutely the smallest case you could fit this in, because it goes from the floor panel right up to the top panel. So it's freaking awesome. It's just the perfect size. Like I said, you have to sacrifice the ModuVent, unfortunately, because the little clips want to be where the radiator is. But I never plan to use the ModuVent anyways. That's the whole point of this case to me, is to be able to do a 280 in the front and not have to use the top, because I like quiet, and this is going to be super quiet because there's no direct vent coming straight at you from the top. Now, the only thing that I'm going to say with this case, honestly, totally in love with the case. Like I said, wish it had one more 3.25 or 3.5-inch drive spot, but big whoop-de-doo in that department. Length of PSU. It would have been really nice to see this grommet back here extend somehow. This is a Corsair AX 850, as you can see, and it is just barely fits. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but it's a pretty tight bend on the 24 pin, which is right at the side there. And I don't, because there's going to be a graphics card right here, I don't want to flip this upside down. So, it's not pulling, obscenely hard on the PSU cables, but it's definitely a tight fit, and getting the rest through there is definitely going to be, you know, kind of a pain in the butt. Now, if we can get this out here where you can see it, one nice thing is, because I am using this crazy ASRock X99 ITX board, the top grommets are big enough for a 24 pin to fit through. I was seriously scared for a minute, because on this board it has to go through that top spot to even have a like shot in hell at fitting. So that is super awesome to see as well. Basically just totally in love with this case, I'm not gonna lie. So guys, should you buy this case? If you're looking for an ITX case that isn't the smallest footprint, you're looking for something that you can really fit a lot of high performance equipment in, hell yes. I know you guys have seen my past Fractal videos. I ding them where dinging is due. Please, for the love of God, fix the plastic in the side panels for the windows. Other than that, this case, you know, maybe a little bit more room for PSUs. If you guys have seen Paul Hardware's video, I would say go with that size PSU just to give you more room. This is just the smallest one I had on hand. That said, check it out. At like 70 bucks, this thing is a steal. I mean, seriously. Also guys, keep an eye out. I'm gonna finish this build and do a video of what I think of the parts, because I never really reviewed like the X99 ASRock board or the GTX or the H110i GTX or GT. So there's parts in here that I haven't really reviewed. So I'm gonna do kind of a whole system review, take some sound measurements with like the ModuVent on and off just to see if it matters at all. I'm just kind of curious, honestly. And other than that, just keep an eye out. That'll be the next video because, well, this is my editing rig. So I have to finish putting it back together. This is Tim for TimmyTechTV. As always, at TimmyTechTV on Twitter, by far where I'm the most active. Also, TimmyTechTV on Facebook, Instagram, and TimmyTechTV.com. So this is Tim for, well, you know, TimmyTechTV. Because, yeah. See you.